Hello, everyone. This is Gabe Edwards here for Axe Brother Podcast.
Hello. It started already.
I'm here with my brother John Mule. Hi, John.
Hi there. How's it going?
Hi, John.
Lauren Reedy.
What's up?
And Josh Rosa.
Hello.
Okay, so this is a new podcast. Our goal for this podcast is that we discuss horror movies. I enjoy bad movies, but that's not necessarily the goal for this podcast. However, today, that might be what we...
Today, there's a chance that we got a shitty one.
That we go into that realm. So, first to kick things off, I want to talk about who we are as film people, as... We're not really, any of us are film people, but as what our perspective is as movie watchers.
Fans.
So, I think in my opinion, the person most into scary stuff would be Josh Rosa. Does everyone else agree?
I would agree, yeah.
Now,
Probably. Yeah.
Josh likes scary stuff.
I realized this when I talked to Josh the other day, and I told him I happened to be watching a series of films of the horror persuasion, and Josh said he wouldn't bother watching a film unless he thought it would... Unless it scared him, which I was afraid of watching. I was nervous. I was like, I'm really nervous every time I rent a horror movie because I'm afraid I'm going to be scared at home. So, Josh, tell us about this.
I don't really remember that, and I don't think it's necessarily
So it
true.
is true. You do
I
dark
watch
things.
Yeah, but I watch all kinds of horror movies all the time, even though I know that they're probably not going to scare me.
Okay.
All right.
So.
Yeah, tell us your history, Josh, starting from the first horror movie you saw.
First time you wet the bed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now this is a good thing you bring up because I didn't watch... The first horror movie I went and saw was with a friend, Chris Kennish, and we went and watched Freddy vs. Jason, which growing up we never watched Freddy or Jason or any of these movies. I think maybe our parents had suggested we not watch them, but I think we were truly nervous about what they contain, and it was the first time I believe Jason kills someone in that film. We then looked at each other with a sigh of relief, because if you watch these films, they're really that part of those movies are actually not that scary. Josh, when did you start watching horror films? Was it like you that you can remember a specific time?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely were not allowed to watch horror movies growing up, for sure. So,
was it a Christian thing?
Definitely, yeah. That was my parents' rule in the house.
Did they say specifically, like, this will poison your soul?
No,
or?
but it was more just like at a certain age, like we were not allowed to watch R-rated movies whatsoever.
Was there a point when that changed?
Just computer pornography.
That didn't exist yet.
Josh is so old.
We have another podcast about the first time we saw computer pornography.
Yeah.
Which I was with John when it happened.
No, so,
Jerry Spence.
the first horror movie I can remember watching, it was definitely when we were home from school, but my parents weren't home from work yet. And I think it was Pumpkinhead 2.
Which started at the sequel.
Was terrifying at the time.
Were you confused having not seen Pumpkinhead 1?
Maybe. I don't really remember, but that was definitely like...
This is you and Caleb, your brother?
I was just like, whoa, this is awesome. Like,
this is you and your brother,
what
though?
are our parents preventing us from seeing all the time?
Those are the witching hours when you get home from school. Your parents aren't home yet, because that's when I used to watch Tony Braxton music videos.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Is Tony Braxton attractive?
Very. 13. Let's move on.
Yeah, anyway. Who else remembers their first horror movie? I mean, that's pretty
I'm trying to think who Tony
memory.
Braxton is still.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Is that you gotta be...
I'm older. No.
You gotta
Let's
be...
stop.
No. You gotta be together.
I do remember that the first... When Exorcist was re-released, I was in college, and I took a girl to see Exorcist, and
wow.
I was embarrassed at how afraid I was after seeing The Exorcist as a freshman in college. It did not sit well with me.
And was that your first one?
I don't think it was my... No, actually, I would say our first one. You were there, too. At a Halloween party, our friend brought Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. And I remember he was upset because we rented Dead Alive and it wasn't the unrated version.
Right.
He made us drive back to
We had to go
Blockbuster
back.
to get the unrated version.
And then they commented throughout the whole film, see, this wouldn't even be in the...
right, the entire time. But I really liked that movie, I think because it was, like, so funny. It wasn't scary. The Exorcist, I would say, is the first movie where I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know if I
scared.
would even call Dead Alive a horror movie.
It is,
I-
but
I-
it is hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait,
A
so when
zombie woman eats a dog in it. So to me,
when
that's
did you see The Exorcist then?
Freshman in college.
freshman in college. It was the re-release
Oh,
when they had her walking upside down like a spider and all
okay.
that.
You
That
guys
was-
have never seen The Exorcist. Am I still allowed to be on this podcast?
Now this brings us to a fascinating point. Oh, I'm sorry, if I may. First, so myself, I now watch horror movies. I'm a person who has lists, and I like to go down the list. So this last summer, I watched every Nightmare on Elm Street film consecutively, and then while sleeping on Josh and Lauren's couch, and then I watched every Friday the 13th film consecutively.
At 7 a.m.
Yeah, at all
when I'm
hours
getting
of the
ready
day.
Yeah,
for work.
not nighttime viewing.
No.
Daytime.
I'm a morning
early
person.
morning viewing.
I'm a morning
I'm
person.
doing my makeup and I just hear like weird screams and I come in.
Right.
And then Gabe asked me to sit down and
Hold on, watch this.
no, yeah,
kill.
watch this part.
But I watched horror movies before this, but it's been a slow working my way in, and I am nervous every time. So, Lauren, you're a special person here, and I hope you stay with this podcast.
You're special.
Because you are not a horror movie person. I thought you weren't a horror movie person at all, but then today you said you just don't like gore. Explain this.
Yeah, I guess. Well, if we are going back to the whole what's your first horror movie, I would say it was Ernest Scared Stupid when I was 5 years old.
I don't think that
And-
qualifies. Lauren.
Well, it was very scarring, and
Were you scared?
I was terrified, and my mom
do you
got
rec-
mad at my dad for letting me see it, and like he
Oh,
had
so
to-
your dad sanctioned this.
yeah, it was when my mom was out of town.
Do you recall anything scary sticking with you?
No, I think that it was, one of those things that at an early age I was like, I don't like this feeling.
The
So-
feeling of being scared.
Yes, the feeling of being scared or unexpected surprises or things jumping out.
See, as long as we're bringing up films that aren't that scary, and we will be getting
Okay,
to
it's
Hatchet.
really scary.
You found Hatchet scary.
No, I'm saying Ernest Scared
Ernest Scared
Stupid.
Stupid.
That might be your pick next week. But now that you bring this up, John and I, our family film was The Burbs, which we watched growing up a lot. And
Still love. Still
it's
love
a
that
good
movie.
movie, but I do recall as a kid, everyone liked that movie in a humorous way, and I do recall secretly holding that this movie terrified me at certain moments.
There were moments they show a scene from The Exorcist in it, and I remember I can't believe there are people who watch that movie. Because he's flipping channels on the TV. Tom Hanks is flipping channels on the TV, and he comes across, I think, The Exorcist,
Texas Chainsaw.
and something else, some human sacrifice.
We should watch that movie.
Forgot about that scene.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Lauren, have you seen The Burbs?
No, I'd never heard of it.
So wonderful. As long as we're on the topic of like our childhood and horror movies, and so I think some of us, there's a chance, I know this is the case for me, maybe the case for Gabe. Again, there's this like idea of we weren't allowed to watch certain things growing up, and things were certainly frowned upon. I think we weren't allowed to listen to Led Zeppelin growing up.
I wasn't. Yeah.
And now these things kind of fascinate me. Like heavy metal music fascinates me, like sort of even all the mythology and the violence behind it. But, and this is maybe more for a psychologist couch, I will say embarrassingly that if I am like listening to Slayer during the week and I get, say, like a sore throat or I'm like having extra anxiety,
No.
there
way.
is still this
No
thought.
way,
There's
no
still
way.
this thought in my head that's like, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing these things. It's
That's
ingrained.
weird.
It's ingrained. I know it's like, I know it's messed up. I know it's not real, but that stuff is like ingrained deep.
See, now I'm surprised because just this last week I asked you if you would go see,
King Diamond, and I was
which I was joking because of course.
Why didn't you ask me?
Josh?
I would have fucking said
No,
yes
I see
immediately.
Josh, because Josh will appreciate this conversation because Josh deals with all of Gabe's bullshit all the time. This is the conversation. True. Hey, John, do you want to go see King Diamond? Yeah. Okay, great. Take pictures and bring them back to me.
Well, I'm not about to go there. It's
I
scary.
thought it would have been a great time.
It probably would have, but I think I had asked you on Thursday and it was on Friday and it was sold out.
Well, that being said, I'm not big into gore, and yes, things creep me out.
Hold on now. That's always a weird thing to me because Reedy said the same thing earlier today, and gore is just like corn syrup with red dye in it. Like, why is gore such a problem?
Well, I don't feel like... I think Hatchet was disgustingly gory, but it was kind of with a wink at the camera.
How many times did you watch Hatchet?
I watched it once, and then I started watching it today a little bit.
Did we even explain yet, like, what we're doing with this
Hatchet
episode?
Every week, this will be intro for a while. We're going to do little bios on each other, but every week in this podcast, we're going to be attacking another horror film. Now, there's 4 of us. Hopefully the 4 of us remain. Looking at Lauren.
Whoa.
But every week, one of us is going to pick a film. So I picked Hatchet for this week.
And do you want to tell us why you chose Hatchet?
Yeah,
That's a good question.
This summer, as I said, I watched the Freddy movies, the Jason movies, and I got up to Halloween Part 6, currently available on Netflix. And I haven't finished it yet, but I don't know. I'm a list person. I like going. I don't know. I just like consuming a series like that. That's one that's I've neglected to watch my whole life, and yet people are way into it. And actually, I watched Freddy up to Freddy versus Jason, and then knowing I couldn't go forward until I completed the other side of that series. But I stumbled across something that had a series of these horror characters drawn together, and there was Chucky in there, and there was Michael Myers, and there was this
Michael to be more formal.
Yeah, not Austin Powers. But there was this other character, Hatchet.
Wasn't it toys, right? You were looking at.
No, it showed up on Pinterest. Yes, I do have a Pinterest account for all you out there.
Pin it.
And
laugh track.
And it was these fake wanted posters.
Oh,
and then there was this. It was Victor Crowley, and I went in and asked Josh, "Who's Victor Crowley exactly?" And
Mr. Crowley,
wondering if it was connected to Aleister Crowley.
And I didn't know either.
Josh surprisingly didn't know either. I looked it up. There are 3 Hatchet films, and I also found out that Kane Hodder. We're good with that pronunciation.
Yeah,
Kane Hodder is in it, as is
Robert Englund.
Maybe you should explain who those people are in case someone doesn't know.
If you don't know who those people are, just stop listening right now. Kane Hodder.
Gabe.
This is an inclusive podcast. Robert Englund, of course.
John's so desperate for listeners. It's just
Freddy. Robert Englund is Freddy, the only Freddy, right?
No, not the only Freddy.
But the only Freddy in terms. He's the one we recognize, right?
Maybe you recognize him. Kane Hodder.
And Kane Hodder is
the most recent Jason. And he plays Hatchet, Mr. Victor Crowley.
Is it Hatchet Face or is it Hatchet?
It's Victor Crowley.
It's not even.
That's not his name.
They don't call him Hatchet Face or anything. Okay.
No.
So I found this interesting though because it's a new series that. Who knows how in the middle of it we are, how well it takes off. There's 3 Hatchets.
Right, because Hatchet 1 came out, 2006?
Hatchet 1 came out in 2006.
Yeah,
yes.
So it's
and I think
semi-recent.
Lauren and I were talking about this on Halloween because in the 6th grade we had to read Hatchet, the book, right?
Yep.
Gary Paulson. This is not that Hatchet, of course.
I do have 13 facts about the Gary Paulson book if you guys want to talk about that later.
No, we don't.
Maybe
to this.
after the beer. Maybe.
It's a good book. That's what I'm saying.
But this is not that Hatchet.
This is not that Hatchet.
Not the young adult reader.
So this is the film I selected. So yeah.
And thank you.
Directed by Adam Green.
The great Adam Green, of course. We all know Adam Green, as I look at IMDb, directed
the other Hatchet movie.
Actually, I don't think he did.
Lauren doing
thought
some
he did.
research. Well, he did direct Hatchet 2.
He did 2, and then I don't think he did 3 and 4. And
No,
whatever,
of
man.
course his debut in 2000 was Coffee and Donuts,
Oh,
which was
Okay.
followed up by
A
Hatchet.
classic.
yeah.
So what do you want to talk about Hatchet?
I want to talk about so much.
Well, one thing I'm interested in is this community of these horror characters who properly fits into it, and does Crowley reach that level? I personally find the way he dies to be lame. Just so everyone out there listening knows.
Whoa. The way he dies?
What?
I guess he doesn't die, right? It's even lamer.
He's a
Oh,
ghost.
this is ruined already. Well, I don't...
What I want to say is that I don't know. Go
You're
ahead.
saying that the Crowley character is not of the same caliber as those other horror classic characters you saw in those wanted posters.
That's the question, and I don't know if philosophically is the right word, but should we really be trying? I feel like they're trying really hard to generate another series, which I don't know how I feel. I like that Robert Englund and Hodder, I don't know, are really behind it or not. Don't look at me like that, John.
I don't feel like the Hatchet character, Victor Crowley, is that interesting.
No, me neither.
But we have so much of this movie we haven't talked about yet.
What do you got, John?
Well,
Kenny from Cosby is in it.
I have a lot to say about Kenny from Cosby and some of the best one-liners ever. Did anybody pick up on the theme song for the movie?
Oh, was the
yeah,
Marilyn
it was
Manson
terrible.
song?
Is it a Marilyn Manson
I was
song?
hoping-
Stop. That's
What's
not a
the
Marilyn
song?
Manson
It
song.
is.
I
And
could
he-
sing it. I
he
could sing
wrote
it. Ready?
Wait, go.
Here's the song. Bitch, bitch, bitch. Sex, sex, sex. And don't forget the violence. That's
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
I looked it up. It's called "This Is the New Shit."
He wrote it for the movie, I
can't-
believe.
That makes me so sad. I
And
like
I was
Marilyn
really
Manson.
hoping we could figure out a way to play it on the podcast
I
before he
know.
came. Like
There's
I was YouTubing it, but I couldn't find it.
And as the
really.
song goes, there's the next line says, "Everybody sing along," and then it just goes blah blah blah.
It's
Yeah.
really bad.
I can't believe it's a Marilyn Manson
sex,
song.
and don't forget the violence.
And don't forget the violence.
What was the line that Kenny said when he described Crowley? He says he looks like he was molested by a wolf.
Oh my
Molested by
gosh,
wolves.
That part.
That, by the way, guys, there was this, a recurring thing that I borrowed from another podcast, but the term is shining light. So the shining light for me for this film was the line, "He looks like he was molested by wolves."
And what does that mean?
That makes sense, doesn't it?
No. No.
Like,
Dude, imagine if you were
Like
molested
he's
by
just
wolves.
all torn up and
Just
His
yeah.
face.
like his face was fucked. by
I
wolves.
think also, speaking
His
of
face. Say it again, Lauren. Louder.
Lauren Reedy said it,
What'd you
not
say?
us.
like his face was fucked by wolves.
Face was fucked by wolves.
Face-
That I bet that's a lyric in the Marilyn Manson song.
I bet that's a
Probably.
band.
Face was fucked by wolves.
But I think the thing, because I read about this before the movie, Victor pressed his face against the door. His dad tried to get him out. So his face is against the door, and his dad tried to get him out of the house with the hatchet.
Okay, here's my question though: is so what if he was still? Oh wait, so he died at that time, but then he became a ghost instantly.
These guys are saying no, he didn't die. I only watched the film once. I'm ashamed
No,
to
he's
say.
a ghost.
Well,
That's why he doesn't
no,
ever die.
he's not a ghost.
Yeah, he is.
These characters don't ever die is kind of the rule.
Yeah, he's a ghost. That's why they keep killing him, but he keeps coming back to
Yeah,
life.
they do. They shoot him.
But I feel so here. Okay, so here's my theory: is that there's a backstory about kids bullying him, as you know, these characters are often bullied when in their human life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then one night they accidentally burn down the cabin that him and his father live in,
By the swamp.
and then his father tries to get out with a hatchet, hits his son in the face. I was under the impression that the dad died, and Victor
No,
Crowley continued to live in the woods where he was raised and molested by wolves.
No, the dad, he died from a broken heart. Don't you remember that part?
Stop messing around. Was that in there?
Yeah, that was in there. He was so devastated that he killed his beloved son, and he stayed in the cabin forever. Which it brings up the question. I'm like, at what point did Victor Crowley turn into a ghost? Because he could have kept his dad company.
Okay, you have the freshest memory because you watched it this morning,
Right.
And the rest of us watched it like a month ago.
A month
We
ago,
thought
and
we were going to
yeah.
record this episode. But my impression, which I think is what you guys thought too, was that he didn't die. He just his face got fucked up by his dad trying to save him,
Oh, okay.
and like maybe the
I
fire
think the
too.
dad at least thought that he killed his son.
I mean, he's a huge guy, like Victor Crowley, very like taller than everyone else, like stronger than everyone else, constantly getting shot and hit and like not dying. So I was under the impression that he was kind of some physical freak specimen.
Yeah, and I read well, spoiler alert to us, but in like later movies, he gets like shot all the time by like police, and like they just continue to showcase how crazy it is that he just doesn't die from anything that anyone ever does to him.
I just to recommend, and we might do this film later, but I highly recommend for this. This idea is explored of the this supernatural sort of killer, but this idea is addressed in Jason. I guess it's Jason Goes to Hell. It's part 9. Very interesting. Engineer, you agree? Yes. What's your name again?
Renee.
Renee, the engineer, is here with us too.
Yeah.
And he agrees with Gabe.
Did you like that one?
Jason Goes to Hell?
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting, especially the end.
Not a lot of Jason in Jason Goes to Hell, but anyway,
Alright.
Okay, but
I digress.
We kind of talked about his deformities, how he's deformed. What is his deformity? That's what I want to know. He has like a weird like spine back thing that looks like a reptile.
He's got kind of a butt face too. That was his face split.
That's not the deformity though.
That's from the Hatchet.
That's
from the Hatchet.
Oh, he had a deformity as a child.
I don't. Now I'm just annoyed. Let me see.
You
I
should
don't know
look-
if he dies or not.
Well,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, okay.
The girl is describing the legend, but that doesn't mean that it's true.
Right. In the
Yeah.
very beginning, Robert Englund plays a father, and he's got a son, and they're fishing in the swamp.
Yeah,
His son goes to take a leak off of their fishing boat,
Oh.
and
and a gator almost
a gator
bites his dick off.
quote tries to bite my sack off, and then
Yeah.
Robert Englund says, "You let her get away, moron," which I feel bad for the guy because he was peeing.
Right.
And then Robert Englund's line is, "Goddamn queer's got a squat to take a leak."
Now, Robert Englund's chasing a catfish.
That's rough. I don't know.
Lauren,
I don't know.
why are they fishing? Isn't it for like a white whale sort of catfish?
I thought they were trying to get gator. I don't know.
Well, Victor Crowley shows up and kills both Robert Englund and his son. And one of my favorite lines, although it's short, is when the son is literally being disemboweled from behind. His torso is being pulled from his legs, and it cuts to his face, and he just says, "It hurts."
Oh, I was wondering what he said.
Yeah, it hurts. Which I don't know. Yes, you're being disemboweled. It would hurt.
Well, not knowing how far we're going to get, one thing I really appreciated from this film, and I remember hoping...
Is this your shining light?
No, he already said his
my shining.
light.
This is my
Oh, the molested
almost
one. Okay.
shining light.
Almost.
Is the fact maybe this is my shining light? Oh, that's hard. Is the fact that we get to the end, and I remember having seen a lot of these movies recently. You always have one, maybe two people that survive, and it's usually a girl, maybe a young kid. But the fact that no one survives this film, that Hatchet ends up killing everybody, is something I really appreciated. Anyone else feel that way?
yeah, I liked that part.
Okay,
too.
so I watched it on YouTube, multiple parts.
It's available on YouTube.
But I think
Wow.
I paid for this movie twice.
I paid for it as well.
it's broken down into 10 segments, but I think they cut out before like you saw what happened.
Oh, no.
You watched like an edited version, maybe?
No, I don't know.
It just didn't finish.
Yeah, I saw the part where I feel like I saw almost everything, but I think I also read that the girl is in the next movie.
Yeah, I didn't feel like she died.
I don't think she died.
Her
Yeah,
name is
she-
her
Mary
character's
Jane?
name is Mary Beth
Mary-
Dunstan,
Oh.
and Robert Englund is her father,
Yeah.
and they're not in real life in the movie, and she's looking for Robert Englund, and I didn't feel like she died at the end.
Yeah, I don't think she died.
Well,
Now
this
there's
is disappointing.
there's the water scene, which is straight out of the first Friday the 13th movie, right? He pops up out of the Kane Hodder pops up out of the water and grabs her out of the boat.
Yeah.
So
Very
they're
Jason-esque.
they're kind of riffing on that, but yeah, I didn't.
So Josh, you thought everyone died.
Well, I mean, thinking about it now, I don't remember exactly what the final scene is, but I did appreciate, like, you think that they're gonna get away, and like,
Well, you think the guy and the girl are gonna get away, right?
no,
Right,
the
'cause they're
guy
cute.
has his arm ripped off.
Yeah, he's destroyed. What's so funny about that word?
I don't want to talk.
Wait, yeah. Did he die too? Because all the guy did was rip his arm off. He could survive from that, right?
Could.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I think I saw that guy's name on the credits for the second Hatchet movie.
You guys looked at the credits for the second Hatchet movie?
Yeah.
That's kind of.
This is interesting. Do you guys feel compelled? Because I'm certainly this sort of person, but do you feel compelled to watch the next 2 Hatchet films, either in this podcast or on your own?
Maybe now just for the sake of this, but
Maybe if I'm drinking.
I can't
with
say I
friends.
actually enjoyed Hatchet, so
No.
I wasn't planning on watching the other 2.
Okay,
but
but-
now that we're talking about it, maybe.
But here's the thing. Also, having watched a lot of these quote-unquote classic movies, they are classic movies. That's
Sure.
undeniable. Halloween 1,
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th 5, But a lot of these movies aren't good. Like, a lot of these are very iconic, and ultimately they delivered, a Halloween costume we can wear. But a lot of them, when you get down to it, there's not much going on.
Well, okay. Did anyone feel like this movie was kind of a predecessor to Cabin in the Woods?
Haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yes, you have. You watched it with me.
Haven't seen it.
We watched this together.
Oh, yeah.
Because
And we were both amazed at it.
Yeah, that is amazing.
This movie is just a bunch of horror tropes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's trying to be its own thing necessarily. It's just like, like John was saying, it's completely winks at the audience with everything that it does. And I appreciate that aspect of it, but it also doesn't compel me to watch the rest of them because it didn't seem like it had its own thing. It was just stealing from
Maybe it's
lore.
It's a difference between Sharknado 1, seriously, and 2 and 3. When Sharknado 1, they didn't know they were making a terrible movie. Where 2 and 3, they're now like cramming with as many cameos as possible. Or anytime this happens.
Perhaps. Speaking to those tropes, we should mention we haven't even really gotten to the basic plot of the movie yet.
I said trope the other day to John. He didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, and now I'm using it all the time. It's my word, of the day. But the movie is a tour of the Bayou, Louisiana. I believe it's Mardi Gras time.
I think they did that just so they could have topless women.
A lot of dudes.
Okay, but
though.
wait a second. Were there topless girls?
Yes,
Throughout
every
the
2
entire
seconds.
movie.
No.
No.
Okay, the original scene, there was guys on a balcony with beads.
Okay,
and
no.
then there's guys down below like cheering. And
Catching
then, like,
the beads.
Maybe 2 girls like spread out.
There
This
was a couple girls. There was like one girl that was just chilling there topless, and
This
they were
is
like,
the
look.
But this is the confusing thing because initially I saw dudes throwing beads, dudes catching beads. It was like,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
no, but I was like, first they're going the route of no nudity and they're re-establishing what Mardi Gras is just for the sake of this. But then all of a sudden there is nudity, which makes no sense. Josh, what do you think?
makes no sense.
I feel like they couldn't find enough female extras, and they just got as many guys. Maybe they advertised we're going to shoot a topless scene, and all these guys came, and there were just not enough women. So that was strange. So
But-
then out of that, go ahead.
Misty and Jenna, or is it Shannon? I forget who the other girl was. Were topless like every 2 seconds. At least.
Yeah, that was like their whole
Their
they
were
were
thing.
just like
Mr. Skin is
throwaway characters.
Yeah.
Of course.
Did you recognize the girl who played Misty?
No,
She's from Buffy.
Really?
Yeah, that was
Who
my
is she in
that
Buffy?
might have been my shining moment. She was
Shining Light.
Shining Light.
Jenna and Misty.
Yeah, she was Harmony, Spike's girlfriend.
Misty?
Yeah.
No way.
Mercedes McNabb?
Yeah, she was in a couple seasons of Buffy. I was
She's
very
on
excited.
Mr. Skin under great nudity. She was in Vipers in 2008. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So, anyways, the whole those characters were just there to be topless the whole movie.
But I think they were doing that on purpose. That's the thing. That's like anything I
Yeah,
was
but
gonna be mad
still.
about or annoyed about. I was like, but they're doing it's like the Asian accent thing.
Oh, that drove me fucking crazy.
But then it was like he was like, no, I'm doing that on purpose.
I still don't know what that guy's real accent is.
yeah.
Mr. Sean is, at first I thought he was white. He's a kid in a top hat.
You thought he was white?
He's dressed like King Diamond again.
Wait.
He talks like Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes, like, well, hello there.
Yeah.
The
He's got-
Devin Fetch voice.
Yeah, he's got that kind of voice. He's talking about voodoo curses. Kenny, what's the actor's name, not Kenny from the Cosby Show.
Give him some respect.
Dion Richmond, who plays Marcus in this movie, refers to him as Uncle Remus meets Bruce Lee. I don't know how many versions of racist one character can be, but he goes from like this hardcore, like
That's so true.
like Southern black accent to like really annoying generic Asian person accent.
But then
Well,
you
that
realize
was-
that was affected also.
That
And then-
was part of the plot, though, wasn't it?
I suggest everyone Google Uncle Remus right now if you're at home. Go ahead.
Like, wasn't the part of the story was that he had moved to New Orleans to open this tour boat business,
It was confusing.
and
That's
he
all I
was
know.
kind of like putting on an act as like
Right.
the tour guy, like he was faking. His
Didn't he say his
accent
family was like he was the next of kin of?
Okay, no, he was
mean, it-
was faking the black accent, the like Uncle Remus Southern black accent. But then when he gets scared, when people start dying, then he goes to the generic Asian accent. But then that's not his.
The
why-
long duck dong accent.
But then why is he faking it at that point too?
Yeah.
Because at the end it's like, oh, I just have a normal California accent, like newscaster accent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was confusing why he faked the Asian, really affected Asian accent.
Yeah.
Racist.
Maybe the director thought that would be funny.
You know, because in being in a
Which
horror,
was
being in a
correct.
horror movie, having an accent or being a foreigner is not a good thing, right? You're gonna die. You'd think you'd want to not go there.
I don't know.
Sorry, brought it to a screeching halt.
Okay, but what did I say that? Oh, I thought Mercedes McNabb was my shining light when it said the phrase, but it wasn't that. It was.
Wait, you just thought her presence in the film was a shining light?
I just personally, I was
Okay.
very excited about that. But I think it was actually for me, still having to do with her, but her phone ringtone being "You Gotta Be" by Desiree was my favorite. I actually started laughing out loud when that happened. Like it was some of the writing, like you were saying, some of the comebacks, and some of them were stupid, but some of them were pretty funny.
Yeah. So Lauren, as a non-horror person, were you scared at any point at this film, or?
I wasn't scared, but I did have to block the screen at one point
From what?
when he kills the old lady.
the Christian lady,
Yeah.
that was the best kill.
I
in the
could
movie.
tell he was gonna like rip her mouth open.
Oh,
like
He
yeah.
rips her jaw in half.
I watched that
Yeah.
one twice.
I couldn't handle that. It reminded me too much of like Curbing from American History X.
Oh,
That's what it brought to mind, and so I couldn't watch it.
that's pretty brutal.
Okay, so I'm looking at what I started doing independent of this podcast this summer was watching all these horror films and noting when people die in the film, because I think I'd watched one of the films and it was about an hour in and no one had died. So in this film, initially we have the Robert Englund character and his son die in the first 5 minutes. And then no one dies until 47 minutes in, when the old Christian guy dies, and then the Christian wife dies a minute later. Victor Crowley seems to die at 47 minutes. And then after that, it comes really fast. Porn director, then the Asian guy.
Go ahead.
What?
Not a porn director.
Oh yeah, it was just for his personal.
Which I
collection.
liked that little twist.
That was funny.
The fact that he's just
Well,
a
he
creeper.
told them he was a porn director, right?
Right, but I
Yeah.
loved it was sort of this.
But
It was a
okay.
statement on our
Whoa.
times. Is what
Problem.
it was.
When they get in the van, the fake porn director says, "This is from Party Sluts." I don't know what it was.
Oh no! What?
And then
Bayou Beavers.
Bayou Beavers. I wrote that down. That was hilarious.
Bayou Beavers.
And the dude had heard of it, the Christian guy. Remember?
Yeah.
The
I think
old guy
that was
wasn't
a
it-
real thing, but he wasn't actually working for them.
Yeah.
Like if you said you worked for Mr. Skin, which apparently you do because you dropped the
Right.
name on this podcast.
Well, so many people are listening to this podcast, John. Trying to get us some kind of sponsorship, if you don't mind. I mean,
Hi, Mom.
This time isn't free.
But that was when they find out that guy isn't actually a porn director. Is also one of my favorite lines, when he was like, and they find out that the Asian guy is affecting his accent, and you're like, does anyone else have any secrets that they want to share? And the one girl's like, I didn't go to NYU.
Shocker. Can we just talk real quick again? The actor Dion Richmond, Kenny from the Cosby Show. Other than the line, "You look like you've been molested by wolves," he has 3 other amazing one-liners.
Yes.
The first one, I thought it was going to be a foreshadowing, but he says, "Hey, do you want to go on this tour?" His friend does, and he says, "I think I'd rather skin my own dick," which I was hoping he would die in that way somehow.
That would have been good.
Oh yeah.
Then someone asks him later, "Are you having fun?" And he says, "About as fun as a bag of dicks."
Oh, that was a good line. Too.
I don't know what that means though.
That could be a lot of fun, though, depending
If you're a
on...
gay guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, whoever. I don't know.
Bag of
Josh?
dicks. And then the other one, they're all walking and they've been split up or something, and someone says they're probably sitting at a Denny's, and his line is just, "Moon's over my hammy, yo."
Oh man.
He knows the menu.
Which is the best name for a meal ever.
Moon's
by
over
the
my.
way.
I agree.
The director also wrote the screenplay, so just so you guys know.
Who is the what's his history, do you know?
I don't remember.
He's an actor, too. I don't know.
Well, I would like to say, looking at my notes from Who Died When, I did not include the girl's name on who died. So I guess we do have a survivor of the film. The girl, actually,
Mary Beth Dunstan,
no,
right?
okay, now I remember. The ending, it ends just before she's attacked. So it's heavily implied. Isn't that?
It does. I did write, "What the fuck" with the abrupt ending. That's the last note I wrote.
Well, it's one of those things you assume she is dead as well.
So maybe my movie didn't actually cut off. Maybe that was
Yeah, I could.
the ending.
Yeah.
You blamed YouTube. God damn it.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end of this because we want to introduce the film for next week's podcast. But does anyone have anything that they really want to get out before we do that?
Well, one character we haven't talked about is he's kind of the other main character, the guy who we thought was going to end up with the girl at the end. And I believe there was a point where Victor Crowley has him. He's holding him. They're face to face, and Victor Crowley drools into his mouth.
Yeah.
And then he gets away, and as he's running away, he starts to throw up.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was just a nice little.
Wait, was there another throw-up scene, too?
There may have been another throw up. There is a scene where Dion Richmond, a.k.a. Marcus, a.k.a. Kenny from The Cosby Show, is picked up by his legs and just beaten onto
yeah.
a headstone
yeah.
over and over. I thought that was a decent kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some. That was the second time that Victor Crowley was drooling. Okay, because I know there were a lot of weird panning shots that I didn't know what they were supposed to do. Like when they're in the cemetery, they kept panning in on angel sculptures, and I was like, what is this supposed to mean? But one of my favorite shots was when they go and talk about his backstory. Victor Crowley, the main girl, what's her name, Mary Beth, is talking about this, and there's they're trying to show that he's this deformed child, and at one point his father is lovingly feeding him oatmeal gruel.
Oh, yeah.
And he slowly lets the gruel dribble down his chin, and they pan down and it's falling onto the doll's head that he's holding. And I was like, wait, what is this supposed to be telling us right now?
I don't know,
it seemed like the doll was gonna
He's loving but messy, basically.
but they panned in specifically on the doll's head, the doll was having a reaction to being drooled on. Maybe it was foreshadowing. Maybe the doll is Ben.
Maybe they're just saying whether his father loved him or not, they're just gross people.
Those swamp people out there.
Other kills in the movie, someone gets a belt sander to the face.
Oh, yeah.
It was brutal.
Is it a girl?
It's the other porn girl, right?
Yeah.
Which,
If you want to go on YouTube, Eggy Man, EGGIMANN, Eggy Man kill counts. You can watch all the kills in
John's
this
working
movie.
for Eggy Man, apparently.
There are 9 kills in the movie, and he actually set all the kills to "I Don't Want to Wait," the Dawson's Creek song, which was nice.
Uh-huh.
I wanna wait.
Wasn't that a ringtone as well?
Was it? I don't remember that.
I think it was.
That sounds familiar.
10 kills, by the way.
Ooh, Eggy Man,
Taking
you're
that-
slacking. We're on you.
Eggy
But
Man's incorrect.
The two tropes.
Not to mention 2 false kills where Victor Crowley should have died. Go ahead, Lauren.
the 2 tropes that it doesn't do is the black guy doesn't die first, and there's no virgin who. Wait, what's the thing that happens in horror movies? Does the virgin die first, or the
we're
virgin
talking-
never dies?
Or maybe dies last.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Mary Beth Dunstan.
Well, we don't know. She doesn't seem like a goody.
No, she's England's kid. Well,
She's
here's
kind of a hard ass.
I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I kind of take umbrage with the claim that the black guy dies and everything. There always is a black guy in these movies, but you know, for every one black guy that dies, there's like 10 white people that die also. It's just, I think.
But isn't it they're supposed to die first or something?
Yeah, I don't know that.
That happens.
That can
enough
happen.
to where people have talked about that before. But
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that seems like it is, but
Does the half white, half Asian guy who talks like Foghorn Leghorn count as black guy?
no.
Okay, I'm
And
just checking.
He wasn't first to die.
You're right. I just
And he's definitely Asian.
all right.
anyway.
All right, so
So wait, should we say like if we liked it, like
what
rate
did
it or
you
something?
think? What did you
What
think?
would you change?
Oh yeah, we want to talk about that. You go.
I don't think there's anything I could change about this movie. I didn't hate it, but it was not a good movie. I'd watch it again. I started to watch it again today. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
I didn't. Well, whatever. Well, you seem to not like it, but you'd watch it again.
I mean, I wouldn't like. Again, I think it's like
I would watch this is interesting. I would watch the next two.
Okay, yeah, I would do that. Let's do that after this.
Lauren.
I didn't like it, and I wouldn't watch it again.
There you go. And Rosa, were you scared? Was this worth your time?
I was not scared. I didn't like it really, and I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Would you watch the sequels?
At this point, yeah, because I want to know if Mary Beth is alive.
Which clearly.
So first 5 minutes of part
Crowley's
2, and you're out.
All right. Well, that's great. So that wraps up our first podcast.
That was pretty good. We did it.
The final thing we do now for every one of these podcasts is we select our movie for next week, which
Yes.
goes to Brother John Mule.
Yes. So I have chosen what I understand to be a classic by a director who has never let me down, and that is John Carpenter's The Fog from 1980.
Not to be confused with the remake.
Not to be confused with the remake or The Mist. Yeah, but John Carpenter's The Fog.
Anything you want to say about why you selected it?
I think John Carpenter has
Or
made...
what you think the film will be? Like,
I don't know anything about the movie. I believe there's some weather involved, probably fog. But, John Carpenter, the first Halloween, the original Assault on Precinct 13, They Live, Big Trouble in Little China. Like, I just like all these movies, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see The Fog.
now, dare I say that, Reedy, you're the least likely to know anything about this film.
Yeah, I don't know who John
dare
Carpenter
you say
is.
The Fog, have you seen this film? Like the poster even, or the box?
I vaguely remember the remake in 2005
Mm-hmm.
coming out.
Like
but
you
that's
saw it? Or
No, I remember hearing about it.
Okay.
Has anyone seen this movie or seen the remake?
No.
I actually own the remake, and our engineer's all over it. I actually own the remake, but I have not seen it. I thought I owned it, and I was excited, but I did. I had heard that this is what you're going to select, and I wrote some notes. I wrote, my pre-opinion is, I'm not excited, yet I'm happy to see it in a Citizen Kane-esque sort of way, in that it does check off some lists, but I know it's going to be boring.
How do you know it's going to be boring?
I think this film is known for being famously lame.
I did not know that.
I know there's Fog Day, which I learned is April 21st. It's the day the film takes place. And sorry, John, I think John picked this because fog isn't scary.
I was going to say.
That's some bullshit. Fog can be terrifying. The only other thing I know about the movie is it is a favorite of Richard Christie,
Right.
Howard Stern Show, Death, Iced Earth, and
He celebrates Fog Day every year.
he does celebrate Fog Day every year. So I'm
Josh Rosa, your thoughts?
I've never seen it.
Have you heard of it?
I'm sorry. Like, I just keep wanting to break the fourth wall and mention that we did watch this movie because we're recording.
We
this
do
episode
record
the same day.
Why did you do that?
What do we do? Record two at a time. But this is our pre-opinion before all this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I like John Carpenter films, so I
Fuck you,
that's
Josh. You
the
ruined
extent of my opinion. I'm sorry. It's hard to pretend that I didn't watch this movie this morning.
We'll get into it later.
All right, we'll see you next week, folks. This has been a lot of fun. Axe Brother Podcast. You can contact us at Axe. What's our email, John?
It's written right on the paper in front of you.
We made this email address like
Axe
2 hours
Brother
ago.
with an E
Well, how else would you spell axe, John?
AX, motherfucker.
axebrotherpodcast@gmail.com. Please give us any opinions you have. If you think John's voice is annoying, if you think Josh is way too hardcore for the room, anything you want to say, we will read it here and discuss it.
Have you ever gotten a sore throat because of a Slayer album?
That too.
All right.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.